How's it going? Welcome to another live time draw with Will. I will show you what I'm going to be drawing in just a minute. So before I do that, I do want to give you a little bit of exciting news. And as always, I want to start off with simply thank you for those of you who have found me, who are watching this. And if you haven't done it yet, and you find this channel and you decide, hey, I like what's going on here, go ahead and like, comment, and subscribe. I would greatly appreciate it. So anyway, just some exciting news. I told you guys a while back that I was working on a new kids book entitled Obviously Santa's a Spy. It should be out for sale next week. And I will probably do a launch video on the day that it officially drops on Amazon. So just so you know, it should be done. Working out some final kinks and things like that, but that should be over gold and done with. So just wanted to let you know that. And that's my exciting news. So I'm going to go ahead and move and flip the camera around and go ahead and get started on this live draw because I think y'all are going to love it. So anyway, let's get started. I'm going to move the camera. Give me just a second here. Move it. And go ahead and flip it around so I can start to get it set up in the viewfinder there. And there we go. Now, I did try to tone my light down a bit because somebody told me for one of the live draws I did the other day, they said that there was too much light on it. I took off one of my lights so that way I could make sure to get make sure to get everything going in there. So, I am drawing a picture of a character I'm going to hopefully go see the movie for in about an hour or so. Yes, that is Black Panther. That's what I'm drawing. And so I'm going to tell you a few things, tell you probably a few reasons why I'm really excited about this movie. And, for those of you that haven't seen it, I hope you get a chance to. I mean, it just came out, Thursday? So, if you haven't seen it yet, I can understand. But what I'll probably do is, I have a lot, it's funny whenever a new movie comes out, people always talk about, well, don't spoil it, don't spoil it, don't spoil it. If you see it, don't spoil it, don't tell me about it. So what I'm probably going to do is do a video, hopefully as soon as I get out of the movie theater. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to basically hold the upload time till Friday. And then I'll have to record a short intro probably explaining that because not everybody that sees that video will see this one. So, I don't know. Should I do a live video afterwards? I don't know. That's why I was just debating because I just didn't want, the reason I don't want to necessarily put the video out there right off the bat is because I just don't want to deprive people of the opportunity to see it. I don't want somebody going out there and accidentally showing them the spoiler video and then be like, oh, I got it spoiled. Because I know what it would be like if I had a video, if I wanted to watch a movie that I hadn't seen yet, and then all of a sudden people just spoiled it for me. I hate that. So that's the reason why I'm kind of debating on how I'm going to do it. So anyway, yeah, I've been pretty excited about Black Panther because one, we'll talk about my reasons why I'm excited about it while I'm drawing him. One, because when I saw him in Civil War, first off, I didn't know if we would ever get Black Panther in a Marvel movie. So I thought the fact that we got him in a Marvel movie was pretty awesome. But then when I saw him in Civil War and saw how he was played out, man, I was like, oh my gosh, this dude is awesome. Like, he the first time we really see him in the, we see him, at the junket for that peace junket that they had. And, he's there as T'Challa, and his father even makes the comment, he says, well, for somebody who doesn't do these political things, you sure seem suited for it. And, then his father makes the statement, he says, at some point, you're going to have to do this, but just know that however you choose to do it, it's up to you at that point. You will one day be the leader of your world. And when that happens, you're going to have to decide how it's going to look for you. That's going to be up to you how you do it. Well, then shortly afterwards is when that bomb went off and his father got killed. And so, of course, at that point, he thought that, based on the information, he thought that Bucky was the one that set off the bomb. So, of course, he looked at it as, okay, well, you killed my father, and, he was very driven by anger. He even says that near the end of the movie. He says, I've been driven by anger for too long. and so he really, he has to make he has to make a choice, and the choice is that he's not gonna let anger be his motivation anymore, and so he decides to kind of let not really let the guy go who did everything. He decides he's going to take care of him and let justice handle him, and so, but he shows up the first time in the armor, as he's chasing down Winter Soldier, and like these military dudes are chasing down Winter Soldier. Captain America and Winter Soldier just had their way with him. They've just beat the living daylights out of these guys, man. They've handed them their butts. Well, then all of a sudden, here comes Black Panther, and not quite that easy to do, because Black Panther just shows up. At one point, Bucky's got a motorcycle, and he's driving a motorcycle around. Cap's having to steal a car to try to keep up with Black Panther. Black Panther's literally running in the streets, chasing after this dude, flat-footed on a motorcycle, which, I'm sorry, I don't know if anybody's ever chased a motorcycle before in their lives, but let me tell you, it's probably a nigh impossible task to even go out and do, much less, of course, again, I understand it's a superhero world, so these things happen, but just the fact that Captain America, who's supposed to be pretty much the baddest thing on 2 feet, is having trouble dealing with this dude, to the point where, when they're fighting, he's not faring up very well. And so Captain America is basically ends up, having to get a car and all this other stuff while Black Panther just running, chasing after his friend Bucky. And so as this is happening, he's chasing after him, and then ends up, Bucky's on a motorcycle at one point, he ends up chasing after him, and bam, he just comes out of the gates, just nails the guy, and grabs I believe he punches out the tires of the motorcycle, and then he just goes to get him, and then that's when War Machine shows up, and that's when, they establish yet again that Cap is a war criminal now, due to the Accords and everything, and so, this is where it sets up the Civil War of Tony versus, of Cap, and so that's kind of how that goes. And then later on, during one of my favorite lines in the movie Civil War is a scene wherever Hawkeye introduces himself. And he's like, "Hi, I'm Clint. I'm Hawkeye." And Black Panther says, "I don't care." That's probably one of my favorite lines in the whole movie, just because I think at this point, Black Panther's whole point is, I want to take out this guy who killed my dad. And so, which is funny because a lot of people said, "Oh, that seems like a really simplistic viewpoint." What a lot of people forget is that that's the same, it's almost the same reason why Iron Man at one point starts fighting Bucky, even though they realize it's a setup. And Iron Man, this super hyper intelligent dude, is sitting there talking about, finding out that this whole thing was a setup by by Hydra and everything, and that Hydra was the one that took control of Bucky. It was, he was not in his own control of his mind and all that stuff. And then whenever Cap says, "Hey, he wasn't in control of himself," when Iron Man tries to fight Bucky, his response is the same as Black Panther. He says, "I don't care." And so I liked how that kind of paralleled the two characters, because you had two characters that were so driven by anger over loss that they really didn't care about who got lost in the process. All they cared about was trying to get their vengeance back for what happened. And so it took, really, for Iron Man, it took almost taking out Steve before he realized, and then for Black Panther, it was realizing that Bucky had nothing to really do with it, and it was the guy who was the agent of Hydra. And even him coming to the point of saying, "You've let anger drive you because you thought these heroes killed your family," when they really weren't trying to do that at all. They were trying to save the world. Now, yes, your family was were casualties, but the goal wasn't to, the goal wasn't to do your family harm. And is it Sokovia? I think it was Sokovia, where the Age of Ultron stuff happened. So Black Panther made a decision. He said, "I'm going to let the law handle this," and he basically didn't kill the guy. Which I think if Black Panther truly wanted to have killed him, he probably could have. And it would have been, whatever. But I think the arc for him was really cool that he didn't, because he understood where his flaw was, and that he had let anger consume him. And so he made a decision. He did exactly what his father said. At some point, you're going to have to make a decision on how you run your country. And this was kind of that start of it. Now we're getting the movie where we get to see not only the kind of the origins of Black Panther, kind of go back and see how he, how T'Challa um, becomes the future Black Panther, becomes the hero. But we're also going to get the final movie to set up before Infinity War happens. And so that'll be really crucial and important because that'll be the movie that really helps set up um, the future Marvel franchises. Because this will be, this is what 10 years has been has looked like for us in the Marvel world. So this is kind of that one movie that's going to set everything else up before the big Thanos showing up and kicking people's butts and doing all this crazy stuff and people possibly dying and all this other stuff that's going to probably happen during the Infinity War. And besides that, not only is Black Panther the setup for that, they're also going to be fighting in Wakanda. So it's not like, it's not like we're leaving Wakanda and just not going back because there's going to be a big old brawl there with like half of the Avengers showing up. And so I'm gonna tell you, if you're a Marvel fan and you're thinking about skipping this one, I would not do it. I would definitely consider going, just if for no other reason, just because you are gonna miss out on the biggest setup movie um, before probably one of the biggest movies of the year. I don't know how well. And the thing that I think is interesting is that this movie has outsold, I believe, any other movie ever, as far as pre-sales go. It's already looking to make a minimum of $165 million just this opening weekend alone, and that's based on pre-sales. So, the possibility is it'll make a lot more than that. So, it's going to be really interesting to see how it does. But anyway, so this is my drawing of Black Panther. Black Panther, for those who don't know, was a character that was created by Stan Lee and Jack Kirby back in the 60s, late 60s, early 70s, as a response to people wondering, how the comic book world would respond to the civil rights movement. And they wanted to create a black character, but they wanted to create a character that didn't fill a particular stereotype. And if you think about it, if you look at, for example, characters like Blade in the Marvel Universe, characters like Luke Cage, different things like that, they were created, and Marvel definitely tried to be progressive in that. But one of the things that was funny about those characters, they were very stereotypical. They were written very stereotypical. I know, like, Luke Cage had his whole Sweet Christmas thing, because, of course, he couldn't use profanity, because he was basically based on a blaxploitation character. And so, but what they did with Black Panther was they said, well, we want to create a character who's a king. We want to create a character who's noble and, owns his own world, basically. He's the king of his world. And so he's the king of a land called Wakanda. It's a fictionalized version of Africa. It's basically a fictionalized African area of the world where they have the one thing that most people in the Marvel Universe don't have, and that's vibranium. And so vibranium is this substance that is just sought after because of its high properties, of its scientific influence. Think about it this way. Captain America's shield is made out of it. And it's actually stronger than adamantium, which, for those of you who are X-Men fans, adamantium is the stuff that Wolverine's body is outlined with. So what that means in basic terms is if somebody ever wanted to really do work with Wolverine, all they needed is a vibranium weapon, and the vibranium weapon would actually cut through the adamantium. So, because adamantium, I believe, is a mixture of vibranium and something else. So since it's a mixture of those two things, it would weaken the actual vibranium in it. So, straight vibranium, yeah, that could hurt Wolverine in a bad way. So, just to think about the strength of what this is. So, anyway, so Black Panther, I'm going to go see it. Lord willing, I'm going to go see it this evening. So that's the plan. I don't know how well I plan to go over, but I'm definitely going to see it, this evening if I can. So I hope that, like I said, I hope your weekends are going well. If you haven't got a chance to see Black Panther yet, like I said, I know it just came out Thursday, so that's asking a lot, but if you haven't got a chance to see it yet, I hope you do. And I hope you enjoy it more than anything else. So, that's my picture of Black Panther. I'm gonna probably zoom the picture in. I haven't quite finished it yet. So, but that's the basis of the picture there. So I may go ahead and do some more work on it and do a video on the finished part later. Anyway, guys, thank you as always for stopping by these live draws. I greatly appreciate it. You guys are awesome. And as always, above all else, be blessed and be a blessing to somebody, guys. Until next time, I will see you guys later. Enjoy your Saturday. I hope to be able to shut this off. Okay.